Folks, we have a guest that's going to join us right now. Stand by. Joining me right now, folks, on the program, because as you know, today is going to be a rally about this whole business of defunding the police. And we've had him on in the past, and he's just terrific. And this is obviously, as you can imagine, it is absolutely a cure for disaster. He is the CEO of SecureIt Tactical. And I want to say good morning. He's a great guest. Again, we have had him on in the past, and it's Tom Kubiniec. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning. How are you today?
Very well. John DePetro. Hey, Tom, I've had you on in the past. You're very, very knowledgeable. That's why I jumped at the opportunity to have you as a guest on the show today. This is picking up momentum. It is picking up steam. This whole business of defund the police and move to community policing. And I wanted to give you a chance to explain to the people the danger with that.
Holy cow! It's just shocking to see what's happening. I look at this. You almost go numb with it at a time when you're watching the fabric of society in inner cities just come apart. You're basically, are they saying, "Oh, these same people will police themselves"? Because I don't see it. If it comes down to, we're going to be on our own, the position we're taking now is your home is your last line of defense. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on out in the streets, and you have the ability to get away from it. You have the ability to do many different things. But when you get home, that you've got to look at this. If you live in an area that's looking at removing or defunding police, you've got to look at your home as your last line of defense. The threat levels have varied, but they've been pretty dramatic, as we've seen in the news in the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
That is actually tough to even comprehend, Tom. But explain to people, and that's why gun sales are through the roof. I had the owner on, and I shop at Competition Shooting Supplies. When you think about it, and how about the fact, Tom, that in certain instances, a lot of the business owners are then complaining, like, where are the police? There's a riot going on and there's no police around. And what if that started to become a normal practice of exactly how life became in America, or at least in the big cities?
It's, they may, I still don't think that this is going to come. I think these are a lot of talking points. They're trying to unseat a seating, they're trying to beat Trump. There's a lot of things happening. I still don't think that this will be successful. If one city removes their law enforcement and the chaos ensues that we all believe will happen, nobody else will do it. I wouldn't want to be in that one city. But, there's a point where you've just got to take a look at how you live and what you do and say, you know what? It's up to me now. If you've got kids, if you live in one of these areas and you've got a family, you need to start taking measures. First and foremost is, if you're not proficient, if you're not a firearms person, is seek out knowledgeable people and get training. Without training, owning a firearm perhaps offers more danger than it offers safety. You need good, proper training can make you very safe.
And I think, Tom, what we're finding is there's a lot of people, and you tell me, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about your company as you're the CEO, but a lot of people are finding that, they thought that they would be able to go through their entire life without having to own a firearm, and they're learning that is just, unfortunately, not the case, and that they're going to have to defend themselves.
You're absolutely correct. I've had, in the last 48 hours, I've had 3 associates, friends of mine. They know the industry I'm in. They are not gun people. They're not anti-gun. It's just something they never thought about. And all 3 of them said, Tom, I'm really thinking about going out and getting a firearm, getting a gun.
Yep.
I want to know that if somebody breaks into my house, I can end it.
Right.
And these are just people that you just would never think would go there, but everybody's at that point.
Yes.
My wife is not, she's not anti-gun. She's not pro-gun. She knows what she's doing, but she doesn't talk about it much. It's just, we can defend ourselves. And the other day she said, Tom, is the fast box under the bed, what's in that? And I says, an AR-15. Is it loaded? And I said, there's a magazine. Yes. She goes, what else do we have in the house? And she kind of went through the whole house because she had thought about it in a while. And she's like, okay, and how are we on ammunition? I mean,
oh, wow.
I mean, I live in a very safe, I live in a very small town. I've lived in big cities. I lived in L.A. For a long time, and we made the decision to raise our family in a town. I live in a town of 3,000, and I'm not sure I even carry keys to my front door. But I'm at a point now where, you know what? It's my last line of defense is that front door, and if I don't know you, you're not coming through it. And Tom, not only that, is this something that is new? Is that something that's been brewing out there as far as that we're learning that there are some people, and they've had this agenda for a while. For instance, this afternoon in our area, there's going to be a huge anti-police rally that these groups have been building. They've been going towards this. Is this something that you've been familiar, and maybe it's one of those topics that's kind of been under the radar a little bit, but there are some people that seem very organized and very excited at the prospect of defunding the police department. There is, and I do think it's part of that far left. We see Antifa and these groups. I think they're all different names, but there is a very organized socialist type group of people. And what they want is anarchy. What they want is the country to be ripped apart. Because if you look at history, it's at times when societies have come completely unglued that you have the rise of your big socialist or communist leaders. And I think it's orchestrated. They're using one violent act by one bad policeman who should be in jail for the rest of his life. It was a horrible situation.
No question.
They're using that to really push. It's a different agenda. This has nothing to do with protesting.
Right.
The death of an African American. We had 20 people die in Chicago over the weekend.
Right. Think of that.
Nobody's protesting these lives.
No.
Most of these were African American lives.
Yes.
If Black Lives Matter, then these lives matter too. That's not what we're seeing. We're seeing now it's a big movement to remove law and order, allow chaos to come about, and then I think they believe that out of chaos they can rise to power as we have the solution. I don't think it will work. And I think a lot of people are going to lose their lives possibly. A lot of property is going to be damaged. I think short term we may see the rise of private security details for people who never thought they could even afford it. If
right.
you go to a retail shop, it's kind of turning into the wild, wild west. I still think this does implode, and I think this whole thing, this runs into July, and I think by mid-late July, I think this starts to go away.
But can you touch on, Tom, right now, what about the fact that the media is going along with this narrative, and we're seeing it locally, where they're really portraying that if there's something goes wrong, it's because there's too many police out there. They almost act as if that there's too many police, so they're like out on the street, bored, looking for trouble, and then that's why they're harassing these young men of color, and then it leads to this. Well, it's actually the opposite. Many police forces are undermanned, both men and women. They try to do the best they can with community policing, but it's this notion they're putting forward that if there's violence in the street, it's the police that are causing it, not the criminals.
Yeah, this has been a style, if you will, or a way of doing business for a lot of the media channels for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a fear of them, I think, being labeled as racist. If you actually look at statistics of crime, and the media will no longer talk about actual statistics.
Right.
It paints a stark picture. They're trying to take the blame away from the communities and put it on the people who are in charge of law and order, if you actually place blame where it belongs, and there's a lot of African American leaders now who are speaking about this community needs to be accountable to bring itself out of where they are right now.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy, but I do think the media is so afraid of somebody saying you're racist.
Yes.
That they won't actually talk about accurate news.
You're right. You know, I was just mentioning before you had on, there's a local TV station, and they're carrying forth this narrative that the problem is that white people are mean to black people because of the color of their skin. That is, it's such a simplistic way to try to treat it. It's far more involved with the whole thing with the police and Black Lives Matter and defunding the police. To try to treat it that way, to me, it almost like, what is this, America in the 60s with the civil rights? Like, I don't know anyone that practices that accepts that. But what do you think of, I love that quote by the president of Brazil. I prefer a prison full of criminals than a graveyard full of innocent people. I love that.
It's spot on and accurate, and we're a country that thrives on law and order.
Damn right.
And the American people, forget the media, forget the loudest screaming voices that we're hearing. The bulk of America wants this to end. They want violent people in jail.
Right.
And they want it over.
Yes.
And ultimately, the ballot box will solve this problem, because I think these cities that are doing this, you're going to see either turnover of their city councils, turnover of the mayor, or there's going to be chaos in these cities, and the people who are voting for this stuff are going to wake up and say, wow, what did we just create?
Yeah. I think, but don't you I think that this could catch hold somewhere. I'll tell you, Tom, I think there's enough of an atmosphere right now where somebody is going to be the petri dish for this to say, let's try it. Now, I agree. I think it's going to be a sheer disaster. I think any law-abiding business and citizen would want to move out of that area. But I think, we do have these homeless encampments, and I think that somewhere, I don't know where, but somewhere this could actually take hold. I really think that we may see it.
Yeah, it's quite possible. I've always maintained a society has exactly as much crime as it tolerates.
Yes.
And if you're going to tolerate more crime,
yep,
you will have it.
That's right.
And you're going to watch these areas, and what will happen is people will move out. And my fear is that they move out and bring their political view with them to save communities and start trying to push the same agenda. They've ruined one place, now they're going to go ruin the next one with an ideology, not with facts, not with figures, and not with things that work, but this utopian ideology that doesn't exist.
Tom, before I let you go, and again, folks, good morning, it's John DePetro. I just want to tell you a quick story where I agree with you. I moved to New York City 1990, right in Manhattan, when David Dinkins was the mayor. And I can tell you, I lived right on the Upper West Side, Columbus Avenue, and I met then, at the time, he was running for mayor, Rudy Giuliani. So he's Italian, I'm Italian, so we're speaking at the fair. He's campaigning for mayor, and he's asking me about my experience. And he's like, tell me, your day. And I said, it's a little bit of a hassle because I take the subway, but you can't take it after 9 because it's not safe. He said, stop right there. That's ridiculous. But he said, I agree with you. And then I said, and sometimes I'd like to walk through Times Square, but you're not supposed to walk past Times Square past 8 o'clock because it's not safe. And he just started to roll out, Tom, saying everything you're saying is true, but that's because it's become accepted in New York, such as you can't take the subway, you can't walk through there, you can't do that, you better not have cash on you, blah, blah, blah. And Tom, he and Bill Bratton, they fundamentally absolutely changed with the broken window theory, and suddenly urinating, breaking a window, drinking in public, all those things became unacceptable, and they cleaned up New York City.
Absolutely. I remember as a kid going there, and when I was really young, it was a dump.
Yes.
And then it became great, and unfortunately now it's tracking in the wrong direction.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, they've ruined it again. Hey, Tom, tell everyone about your company or how people can get in touch with you or learn more about you.
SecureIt we are in the defense world, we're the largest builder of military armories. In the consumer market, we bring a radically different approach to firearm storage. We store guns in a manner that makes you more defensive. It increases your ability to defend your home and yourself. You can just Google SecureIt, the word secure and it together. It's SecureItGunStorage.com. And from decentralized storage to very fast, silent access, our goal is to make America safer by making guns safer, but also making them more readily available at a time of crisis.
I love it. Tom, an AK is a looter's worst nightmare.
Absolutely.
Hey,
absolutely.
Great to talk to you. Keep up the good work.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, folks, there it is, our guest on this Wednesday. Good morning, everybody.